Thank you for choosing PRP Farms. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Well, good Monday morning. I'll spit it out in a minute. We are going to be doing some canning today. I'm going to start out doing some dry beans. I had them soaking overnight. And then we're going to try to do some meals in jars. So we might be doing a couple of videos here. But I'm going to try to take y'all along with me today. I've got all my canner lids. I've got my, let's turn it a little bit. Drop that one. Glad it wasn't the one with the gauge. Let's see. Let's turn you around here where you can see the stove. I have my big one here. I can double stack pints in it. And then this one will hold 7 quarts. Or I can do pints in it too. But I'll probably do the quarts in it. Because I'm going to do pinto beans in quarts. But I'm going to do black beans in pints. Reason being is more of us eat pinto beans than black beans. A lot of times I'm the only one eating black beans. So I do them in pints. And then if we need more, we just open another pint. This lid goes to the big canner. They're both Presto canners. The big one was actually given to me. Miss Rebel brought it to me. All I had to do was buy a gasket. And maybe the weight, I don't remember. I know the gasket, it wasn't much. So anyway, I'm going to put the gasket in this one. And then we're going to set it aside for now. And then on to the smaller canner. It doesn't have a gauge. It's just the, doesn't have the dial gauge. It's just a weighted gauge. So put the gasket in there, set it aside. This is the extra rack for the big canner. When I go to stack them, you do the bottom layer and then set this on top and then do the top layer. So I'm going to set it aside for right now. And we're going to start putting some water and getting these canners going. Let me find my marks in here. I doubt you'll be able to see, you might be able to see the water rings, but there's actually little ridged lines in here, and we fill it to the bottom line. Because when you pressure can, all this will be pressure can. You can water bath in here too, but that's a different video. But when you pressure can, your jars are not submerged. By the time you get them in there, they're about halfway. It's about halfway up them, I guess. But they're not submerged because you're relying on the steam and the pressure to do it. Okay, we're going to set that one up there. This one, I don't think you can see the mark in it either. You can see the watermarks, but there's ridges, and then you're going to fill it up to there. So we're going to get them to heating. Well, actually with the beans I don't have to heat them because we're going to be going with cold product because the beans have been soaking overnight. Now let me explain something to you. The way I do it is I soaked my beans. Where's my mark? I soaked my beans overnight, and I'm going to drain them and rinse them and put them in jars. That is not the approved way. The approved way is you would soak them overnight, drain them and rinse them, and then you would put fresh water and you would cook them. I think it's 30 minutes. I've done that a couple of times, and to me the beans are over processed. They get too soft and they don't hold their shape. So for a while I was just putting them in the jar dry, filling it with water and canning it. But I didn't really like the texture of that either. So what I had been doing is usually I will put a half a cup of beans in a pint jar or a cup of beans in a quart jar. Soak them in that overnight. Rinse them in the jar because I have a little strainer that'll go over them. Fill them with clean water and, you know, wipe the rims and put the rings and bands on and can them. This time I decided to go ahead and try just soaking them in batches because I'm doing more. So I'm going to start out with the pinto beans because I didn't soak as many of them as I did the black beans because I didn't want to open another bag. So I'm gonna drain those. Got a couple little broke ones that stuck to the bottom. Now I go through and make sure there's no rock or debris in there, but I don't always cook out the broke beans. A lot of people do. I figure if the broke ones cooked, it makes the broth a little thicker. So maybe I should, but I hate to waste any of it. So I don't pick out the broke ones. I pick out rocks, or if they're like really ugly beans, I will pick them out. Okay, I'm just gonna set that in there so it'll drain on there. Let's get y'all turned back around here. I don't have everything set up real good. Let me readjust everything. I'll be right back. Okay, I have some of my stuff set up now. And I'm just going to kind of go over a few things with you. You know, you got your rings and your flats. Now, I have a bowl of just hot tap water, which my tap water gets pretty hot. They say you don't have to boil them anymore, but I do like to get them warm. So I set them in there. Now, don't stack them this way. I alternate them so where it's flat and flat, and then you flip that one so it's the white to the white. So you flip every other one. And that's just so that when you get it down in that water, they get sucked up together if you leave them stacked. So that just makes it easier to get them apart when you're trying to put lids on there. So we'll put those in there for now. Get them all submerged in the water. I have my salt. Now I use pink salt. I prefer the Redmond's real salt, but I like the pink salt. You just do not want to use iodized salt in that when you're canning, because that will cause a cloudy product and it's not as pretty. So I have those things. I have jar lifters, which nothing's going to be hot right now, so you really don't have to have those. I have my magnetic wand that pulls the jars out, the lids out of the hot water. And then this is a multi-purpose tool. This side measures your head space in your jars, because different products you want different head space. Most things when you're pressure canning, you want to use this, and you would do it like this. Let's see, let me get my jar. You would, I'm going to turn it sideways so you can see. You would use that, and you wouldn't want any liquid or food to come over this. You want it right at it. But this rim is also 1 inch. I don't know if y'all can, right at that is 1 inch. So that's what I usually go by. I usually go to right under there. This end, you would, once you get the jars full, you would use it to debubble. But I also like using a chopstick, because sometimes this is just too big and it just disturbs things too much, so it makes them come up out of the water from the way you had it packed. Like I said, I'm doing pinto beans in quart jars. Oh, we need a funnel. I'm doing pinto beans in quart jars, and so they will get 1 teaspoon of salt. We'll put the beans in. You don't want to pack them in there, because they're still going to swell some. They say they're not, but I always have them do. Maybe because I don't cook them. But I don't want my beans falling apart either. So I do, I don't know, a little over half, between half and 3/4. Might do just a couple more. But if you do too many, then you end up with a whole brick of beans and you can't get them out of there. So let's get these beans in there, and then we'll come back and add salt and water. Oh, and I have vinegar out here I was going to show y'all. Make sure it's at least 5%, so that it has enough acid. I do a splash in my canners, That helps keep the outside of the jars from getting film on them. And then I also keep a bowl with a paper towel that I wipe the rims of my jars with. So we're going to put this over here somewhere. I'm not used to having the camera out when I'm doing all this. But we got a new camera, so we're trying to put out some. Well, G-Paw's been being really good about putting footage out. He does the good morning videos with the calves. Have y'all seen those? Those are cute. He did one with Angel. I think it was yesterday morning. She was not happy about it, but she has to go with us to the barn in the mornings because she's decided she cannot stay out of trouble. So we've been making her go to the barn with us in the mornings. Well, she gets my blanket that I cover my milking machine up with and lays on the wagon out there. Well, he uncovered her and called her a barn monster. And it was cute, but she wasn't happy about it. We're just doing new things, but he likes doing the good morning videos, which I wonder what he's going to do next week, because Newly and some of the other cows are going to auction. And I'm just putting the last few pinto beans I have in some of these jars, so I hope I don't regret it later. So I had 4 pinto beans. I thought I was going to have 5. I'm trying to decide if I need to take some out. We're going to go with it and see how it goes. Y'all have to come along later with me and see how they turn out. We're going to do a teaspoon of salt. I like to do it now so when I put the water in, it kind of disperses it better. And salt is just for flavor. You don't have to put the salt in there. It's just for flavor. It doesn't have anything to do with the preservation. The pressure is what preserves it. But it puts flavor in there, and the more flavor you can get in there. Now sometimes I would put chopped onions and green peppers. I guess y'all can't see because my big fat hand's in the way. Sometimes I put onions and peppers in it. But I quit doing that because I never know what I'm going to make with it. So I'd rather have it just as plain beans, and then later on I can do what I would like to do. Because a lot of times I get them out and heat them up and do refried beans. Or I might take them out and do some bacon or ham or something in them. Let's just have them as a side. Sometimes I add them into other recipes. So I kind of keep the flavor pretty neutral. Unless I know I'm making it for some, something in particular. One day I got, oop, that one was fuller than what I thought it was. One day I got real happy and doing and just a-going, and I did lima beans, and I threw peppers and onions in that, and I didn't care for that too much. So I'm going to dip that in the vinegar, and we're going to wipe the rims, because even though you don't think there's anything there, there's possibly something there. And this also lets me feel through the paper towel if there's any nicks or pieces of the glass missing. Oh, I should have debubbled first. But it also gives me a final time to feel and make sure that there is no chips or cracks in there, because that would be a disaster to open the canner after doing all this and there be chips or cracks, because that can make the lid fail, it can make the jar break, cause all kind of problems. So we're going to wipe the rims one more time just to make sure I didn't splash anything on there, because you put all the time and then the money it costs to buy all this. You don't want to, I mean, beans are cheap, but what if I was doing meat? Because later I'm going to be doing meat. So, yeah, I've got several recipes we're going to do later. I have pot roast in a jar. I have a chipotle taco that I'm going to do. It called for brisket, but I'm just doing roast and all of it. So we'll see how it turns out. I think it would still shred pretty good, but I'm not getting a whole brisket out to can tacos. So we're gonna set them in there. And this will hold 7 jars. So I'm going to go ahead and do, I guess I'll go ahead and do 3 quarts of the black beans to finish up this canner. So let me go get my black beans. Okay, I rinsed the black beans, and I should have showed you because I forgot. When you rinse them, you soak them and you rinse them, they have like a purple water that comes off. But in case you wanted to see, these are just regular black beans. Some of them split while they were soaking. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes if they're half, I don't sort them out. But I just thought you might want to see that. But I'm not going to keep you on here filling all these jars. But I wanted you to see the black. I was just going to come back and tell you I had turned the fire underneath my canner because I'm fixing to have all the jars put in there. But I was going to tell you, when you start, you just want to do these finger tight. But when you start your canner up and you're trying to bring it up to pressure, you don't want to turn your burner on high. Let me move this over so I can move you over. Let's see. You don't want to turn that burner on high and bring it up to speed super fast, because that'll also cause thermal shock. You want it to come up slowly, and you want it to come up slowly so you don't have thermal shock. So we have 4 quarts of pinto beans and 3 quarts of black beans, and then there's an arrow here and there's an arrow here. Is there a glare? I don't know if you can see that. But you match those up. Make sure your ring's on. You want to look through this vent hole. Make sure that there's no clogs there. Check your little safety thing. If that blows out, it's not going to work. And then this. And if you'll look, see this little ledge here? When you put this on this dam before it comes to pressure, it goes under here. And once it comes to pressure, it pulls up, and that's what locks your canner, so you can't open your canner. So you just match up the V's, the arrows, and put them on there. Now you're going to wait for it to come up to pressure. This will start having steam come out. Once steam starts coming out in a steady stream, you're going to let it go 10 minutes before you put the weight on. Once that happens, you would put the weight on. And then you would wait for this to start rocking a little bit. It'll rock. The steam will make it rock. Once it starts rocking, then you're going to start your timer. Now, you want it to stay rocking the whole time. If it stops rocking, if your temperature gets too low and it stops rocking, you have to start your timer all over. So you want to make sure once it starts rocking, it stays rocking. I need to wipe that off. It's a little dusty. You want it to stay rocking. You want your pressure to stay up the whole time, because if it drops down, then you have to start over. So we're going to set the weight aside. We don't need it right now. We're going to let that come into pressure, and while that's doing that, I'm going to start loading the big canner with pints of black beans. Because like I said, I use more pints than I do quarts, because a lot of times it's just me, or we're opening it up to add like to a taco salad. I like doing black beans and corn on my taco salad. So anyway, I'll bring you back when that starts venting, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, just a reminder, I'm doing pints, the black beans in some pints, but just a reminder, I'm doing half a teaspoon of salt in the pints. So there we go. We are just trucking right along. Gonna get these on the shelf. We stay so busy, and we try to cut out as many preservatives and packaged things as we can. So I'm trying to get some stuff on the shelf that's quick to fix. Because everybody's like, why would you can dry beans? You can just throw them in the Instant Pot, or you can put them in the crock pot. Well, sometimes we come in from outside dealing with animals or whatever, and we want something right then. So with this, we can just grab it. Like I said, throw it in a taco salad, make refried. I like refried beans with the black beans. you know, mash them and throw them on a tortilla. You know, there's just so many things you can do with them, but it's just like buying canned beans at the store. Why do you buy, oop, I didn't do a bubble. That's talking. Why do you buy canned beans at the store? Because they're easy. So I'm trying to make us some easy things with things that I know what's going into them. I can pronounce what's going into them. And we can have us some quick and easy food. So there we go. I will see you in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to bring you back while I finish these last few, putting the lids on the last few of these. I didn't end up with as many as I thought I was going to have. I'm going to end up with, I didn't get enough lids out. I'm going to end up with 10 pints. I'm going to end up with 10 pints. Now, like I said earlier, the way I do it is not the approved way, but that's something you have to do your research and decide what you feel comfortable feeding your family. I'm fine with not cooking them before I can them. I soaked them, but I skipped the 30-minute cook. So that's something you have to decide. The U.S., I don't know what it is, but I use the National Center for Home Food Preservation website. I usually always go by their rules. This is one of the very, very few things that I don't stick to. So, but always do your research and, you know, be safe, because so many things can cause botulism and spoilage and different things. But so you want to make sure that you're doing your research, doing it safe. There's a lot of canning out there that I would not be comfortable with, but you might would be. So it's one of those things, your kitchen, your family, your rules. So just do your research and make up your mind. Now I've got all 10 of these in the bottom of this canner. Oh, am I going to fit in? Yeah, there we go. Had to wiggle it a little bit. Let me bring you over and I'll show you. There's the 10. See the water? There's the water level. So you don't want to, they don't need to be submerged. I just turned the burner on under there. Let's see if I can lift you up where you can see. I am not used to using this new camera. Let's see if I can get you up where you can see over there. I'm gonna check the vent hole. That's the gauge one. The vent hole's here on this one. You look and make sure you see light through it. Make sure everything is good. Seal's good. And then we're going to match up the fees just like before. And then we're going to close the canner. And then once steam starts coming out here and you start your timer, and you're going to let it go for 10 minutes. This one is still warming up. I just turned it up just a little bit to get it going. But like I said, you don't want to rush them because it can cause problems with the pressure. But I'm going to let these go. I started these first. That way, while they're going, I can be cutting my meat and my vegetables up from my meals in a jar. So once this comes up where it has steam escaping out of the vent, I'll bring you back and I'll show you when I start my timer. Okay, here we are back. Can you see the steam coming out? We're going to start a 10-minute timer. Start it over here. And once the timer goes off, we'll put the weight on. This one, the big one's still heating. It's not ready yet. Okay, here we go. Here you can see it's rocking. You can hear it rocking. We're going to set a timer. These have quarts. They're going to go for 90 minutes, the same as meat. So let me get my timer going here. I usually tell Siri to do it, but Siri said nope. So let's see, it's 1 hour and 30 minutes. Got it started. So it's disgusting, that one. Now, this other one over here, it's not come up yet. It's still, see, this hasn't come up yet. It's not rocking yet, so we're not going to start the timer on it. But one of the things a couple things I want to tell you is, like I said, pints, which is in the big canner, they will go 75 minutes. The quarts will go 90. And what the official is, that's for my elevation. I do 10 pounds of pressure. With the gauge, it'll be 11. But on this one, this is 10 pounds. And it says to place dried beans or peas in a large pot and cover with water, soak 12 to 18 hours in a cool place. I just did overnight, so it was probably close to 18 hours time I got back from the store and stuff. Drain the water. To quickly hydrate the beans, you may cover sorted and washed beans with boiling water in a saucepan. Boil 2 minutes, remove from heat, and soak for 1 hour and drain. Either way, then, you cover beans with fresh water and boil 30 minutes. Either way. If you quickly do it and let them sit, you drain them and put clean water. Then you're going to do half a teaspoon of salt per pint and 1 teaspoon of salt per quart, just like I said. Then it says to fill with beans or peas. Fill jars with beans or peas in cooking water, leaving 1 inch headspace. I don't pack my beans in that tight because I don't want them to swell more and be one block. I like the juice too, so that's what we do. Anyway, I just wanted to bring you back and tell you that. The directions say on my canner that this should rock 4 times in a minute. I have never got it that low. I get it as low as I can, but mine steadily rocks. I have my burner on low, which it is a power burner for canning. But even the one over there with the gauge and stuff, it doesn't go that low. But anyway, I'm working on getting all my stuff together to do my other meals in jars while these are going, but I just thought I'd bring you back and show you this one rocking. Okay, here we are back. Move you a little closer. Here we are back. Timers have gone off, but as you can see, these are still up. So we want them to come down. That means the pressure's off. Once this goes down, we'll remove this weight. We don't want to touch it now because they'll let it go off too quick and it'll cause the thermal shock. But when this goes down, I will take the weight off and we'll wait 10 minutes and then we'll remove the lid. Now what I usually do is I take this off, wait the 10 minutes, take the lid and I just crack it and kind of lift it up and set it back on there to where it's up but it's not all the way off, and I let it sit another 5 to 10 minutes just to make sure that we're not having too much cold air go in there at one time. I keep my house cool. I keep it at 70. So if your house is warmer, you might not have to worry about it as much. But with my house staying so cool, I try to give it plenty of time to cool down so there's not any breakage of jars. So when all that happens, I'll come back and show you. Okay, so here we are back. See, this is down now. So I'm going to remove the weight. And we'll give it 5-10 minutes and then we'll come back and we'll crack the lid. Okay, here we are back for the next step. Pressure's off. Remember, we took the weight off. They're off, both of them are weighted. So now we're going to crack the lid. You have to be careful because there's going to still be some steam and some heat. And then I just take and set it up there like that for a few minutes. Let the pressure release. You know, let it cool off a little bit. Not pressure, the heat. See, there's still steam. So we're going to just leave it sitting like that. Oh, for 5-10 minutes. I'll show you what I'm working on right now. Looky, looky. Them's ribeyes. That's off our cow. You know, I was telling you that roast that I was cutting up for the jars of meals come off of that cow. Well, there's the ribeyes. That's what's supper tonight. Aren't you jealous? Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and pull these lids off. I need to get supper going. So here's the first one. Watch that steam and then rip off that lid. Where did I put my... Here's my picker-uppers. Let's see how they look. You ready? Look at there. There's some black beans. There's some pinto beans. See what I mean about you get too many in there. So see, that's why I was trying to be careful how many I put. They look good. They still super duper hot. You can see them still bubbling. Can you see down in the canner? Yeah. You see they're still boiling in there. Don't look like I had much siphoning. If I had any, it might be a little bit. I'm going to set this off in the bakery and let them cool. I'm going to unload that other pot. Let's see. Let's move that real quick. Move you over and I'll grab a pan real quick and I'll show you. Show you those little ones. I'm gonna get it down. I'll get it straight in a minute. Alright, put that towel out there. Crack the lid away from you. Set it over there out of the way. Now let's look at these pints. Looking at the lids, they might have siphoned a little bit. See the black beans? These will all be black beans. You see the beans? So we ended up with 10 pints of black beans, 3 quarts of black beans, and 4 quarts of pinto beans. I've got the quarts of the meals in a jar, the pot roast, ready to go in here. I'll probably just use that little canner. It does faster. Less space to take up, but we'll get it going in just a minute. We'll let it go while supper's doing. So let me move all this and we'll come back.
Please like and subscribe, and of course, y'all come back now. You hear?